I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
London and be put away decent, nice, for her to go ahead and get buried.
This is a story of London Thomas. On April 5th, 2025, 17-year-old London Thomas was dropped off by her sister at a home in Inkster, Michigan. She was supposed to spend time with her boyfriend, 23-year-old Jalen Pendergrass. Hours later, she stopped answering her phone. Days passed with no response, no social media activity, and no trace of movement. What began as a routine visit quickly turned into a disappearance that raised more questions than answers.
We begin with breaking news in the case of murdered Inkster teen London Thomas.
The Wayne County prosecutor announcing new charges today against Thomas's former boyfriend and his mother. Good evening, everyone. I'm Taryn Asher.
And I'm Roop Raj. This comes months after the 17-year-old went missing and was later found dead. Let's get live to Fox News' Lauren Edwards, who joins us now with the very latest. Lauren.
Roop and Taryn, I can tell you we spoke with the family and they say that they're experiencing a bit of relief. Now, I'm out here on Millard Street in Southfield, a block away actually from Millard, where her body was found back in April.
Family members contacted both Inkster and Detroit police departments, reporting her missing when she failed to return home. Investigators began tracing her steps, checking phone records, and interviewing those closest to her. The last person confirmed to have seen her alive was Jalen. His statement shifted under questioning, creating inconsistencies that caught the attention of detectives. Surveillance footage and communication logs soon revealed that London never left that Inkster residence. 3 weeks later, on April 26th, a parked SUV in Southfield drew attention after neighbors noticed a strong odor coming from it. Inside the vehicle, police found a sealed plastic bin. When officers opened it, they uncovered what had been hidden for weeks: the body of London Thomas. The medical examiner confirmed her death was a result of asphyxia, ruled as homicide. Evidence led investigators straight back to the Inkster home and to the Pendergrass family. Both Jalen and his mother, Charla, were charged with second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. The discovery exposed a series of concealed actions, coordinated efforts to hide the crime, and attempts to mislead law enforcement.
And first at 5, a mother and son facing a judge together, accused in the high-profile murder of 17-year-old London Thomas. It's a moment London's family tell us they've been waiting for 6 months now. It's a case that first captured the attention of Metro Detroit in April, when London seemingly vanished.
Weeks later, her body was discovered in a plastic bin in a parked SUV.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today at 5. I'm Glenda Lewis.
And I'm Simon Shakett. London's ex Jalen Pendergrass and his mother Charla quickly emerged as suspects, but only now have prosecutors been ready to charge them with second-degree murder and tampering with evidence.
7 News Detroit reporter Randy Wimbley was in court as the two were arraigned and learned about a man who may have played a pivotal role in this case.
Before we dive into today's story, we want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? And how do you feel as the story unfolds? Welcome to Deadly Crime Unmasked, the show where we expose the shocking crimes that rip through communities and the chilling secrets lurking behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications. You won't want to miss the gripping story that's coming up. Now, let's dive in. London Thomas was a 17-year-old girl from Detroit, Michigan. She lived with her mother and siblings in a close family environment. By all available information, she lived an ordinary life consistent with that of a high school student preparing for adulthood. Public records indicate she was enrolled in high school, though the specific school name and grade level were not disclosed. Her family described her as dependable and responsible, maintaining a regular routine of school and home activities. There were no reports of disciplinary problems, delinquency, or associations with criminal activity. Friends stated that she kept a small circle of trusted individuals and was cautious in her social interactions. London was known to spend most of her free time either with family or online. Her digital activities showed typical social media engagement, sharing music, photos, and maintaining contact with classmates. Investigators later confirmed there was no indication of online threats or suspicious messages before she disappeared. At the time of her death, London was in a relationship with 23-year-old Jalen Pendergrass, a resident of Inkster, Michigan. The relationship had been ongoing for several months, though it was described as unstable. According to her relatives, she had considered ending it. In the days before April 5th, she had reportedly discussed no longer wanting to continue seeing him. Despite this, she agreed to visit Jalen at his residence on Carlisle Street in Inkster on the morning of April 5th, 2025. That visit would be the last time she was seen alive. On April 5th, 2025, London's sister drove her to the residence located at 27260 Carlisle Street in Inkster. The plan was for her to spend time with her boyfriend, Jalen Pendergrass. The drop-off occurred during daytime hours. London carried her personal belongings, including her phone. There was no indication of distress or argument at the time she was dropped off. The understanding was that she would return home later the same day. As evening approached, her family began to grow concerned when she did not respond to calls or text messages. Multiple attempts to contact her failed. Her phone appeared to be either turned off or out of service. Her family waited into the night, expecting her to come home on her own. When she did not appear, her mother initiated contact with authorities. The Inkster Police Department was the first to be notified that evening. Officers took the initial missing person report, noting her last known location and who she was with. As the next day passed without any sign of London, her family expanded their outreach. They also reported her disappearance to the Detroit Police Department, given that she lived within their jurisdiction. This allowed both departments to begin coordination. At the start, law enforcement followed standard procedures for a missing juvenile. Officers visited the address on Carlisle Street to question the occupants. Present at the residence was Jalen Pendergrass. During his first interaction with investigators, Jalen stated that London had left the home earlier and that he had not seen or heard from her since. Detectives documented his statement but noticed inconsistencies. He did not specify an exact time when she left, nor could he explain why she had not contacted her family afterward. He also claimed she may have gone to meet friends elsewhere. Investigators found no confirmation of this claim. Family members continued calling her phone without success. Police began canvassing the surrounding area for any witnesses who might have seen London after she arrived at the house. They also reviewed available surveillance footage from nearby properties. No images were found showing her leaving the residence. Within days, London's disappearance gained public attention. Her family began circulating missing person flyers and social media posts, appealing for help from the public. The posts included her photo, physical description, and the last known address where she was dropped off. As part of the search, police checked local hospitals, transportation centers, and detention records to rule out non-criminal explanations for her absence. None of these efforts yielded results. The investigation expanded to include interviews with her school contacts, friends, and relatives. Everyone confirmed that her disappearance was uncharacteristic. There was no sign she intended to run away, and she had made no travel arrangements. Digital investigators examined her phone records and social media accounts. The last activity occurred shortly before her arrival in Inkster on April 5th. After that point, her accounts went completely silent. As the days progressed, attention returned to Jalen Pendergrass. Detectives noted that he provided varying accounts of his last interactions with London. Some details conflicted with the timeline her family provided. Investigators also learned that Jalen lived with his mother, Charla Pendergrass, at the same Inkster residence. Police began to consider the home a critical location in the case. However, at that stage, they lacked probable cause to conduct an extensive search. They maintained observation while continuing interviews and gathering. London's family remained in contact with law enforcement, requesting frequent updates. They organized search groups and distributed additional flyers across Detroit and Inkster areas. The investigation continued for several weeks without major breakthroughs. By mid-April, detectives began to suspect foul play. The lack of any financial activity, social media presence, or communication from London suggested that she was no longer alive. The Inkster Police Department worked alongside Detroit authorities to analyze cell tower records, tracing the last known signal from her phone. The signal data placed her within the vicinity of the Carlisle Street residence before it disconnected permanently. During this period, officers revisited the home of Jalen and Charla Pendergrass. New information emerged when a witness stated that Charla had asked someone to help move a large plastic storage bin from the property. The witness said Charla claimed to contain household items. This statement became a crucial lead. Investigators began looking for any vehicle connected to the Pendergrass family that could have been used to transport such a bin. This line of inquiry would later lead them to a major discovery. On April 26, 2025, nearly 3 weeks after London went missing, police in Southfield, Michigan, received a call from a resident on Millard Street near Berg Road. The caller reported a strong odor coming from a parked SUV that had been sitting in the same spot for several days. Responding officers located the vehicle and conducted a visual inspection. Inside, they found a sealed plastic storage bin. Due to the odor and suspicious condition, detectives opened it. Inside the bin, wrapped in plastic, was the body of a female. Forensic teams were called to the scene. The body was transported to the Wayne County Medical Examiner's office, where it was confirmed to be London Thomas through dental and DNA comparison. The official cause of death was asphyxia, and the death was classified as homicide. Evidence recovered from the vehicle connected directly to the Pendergrass household. The vehicle itself was registered to a relative of Charla Pendergrass. Traces of cleaning materials and fibers linked both the vehicle and the Inkster residence. When 17-year-old London Thomas was reported missing on April 5, 2025, investigators began by tracing her last known movements. Her family informed the Inkster Police Department that she had been dropped off earlier that day at the residence of her boyfriend, 23-year-old lled Pendergrass, located on the 27260 block of Carlisle Street in Inkster, Michigan. Detectives visited the address within the first 48 hours of the report. lled Pendergrass confirmed that London had arrived at the home that day, but stated that she left shortly after. He claimed their communication was brief and suggested that she might have gone to visit a friend afterward. When asked to provide the friend's name or address, he was unable to do so. As questioning continued, inconsistencies began to surface. In one account, lled said he dropped London off at another location after an argument. In another, he said she left the residence on foot and did not return. Investigators noted contradictions between the statements and the timeline provided by her family. There was no evidence that London had contacted anyone after arriving at the residence, and her phone activity had abruptly stopped that same evening. Authorities considered lled a person of interest early on due to his conflicting responses, and the fact that he was the last known individual to have seen London alive. His mother, 49-year-old Charla Pendergrass, was also interviewed. She claimed to have had no interaction with London that day and denied any awareness of her disappearance. Detectives documented both interviews and requested forensic permission to analyze digital data associated with the residents and the individuals involved. Following the initial interviews, a structured search operation was established. Officers began canvassing the neighborhood surrounding the Inkster property. Door-to-door inquiries were conducted to determine whether any residents had seen London leaving the home or observed suspicious activity on April 5th. Local businesses and residences equipped with surveillance cameras were contacted. Investigators retrieved footage covering the time window between 12 p.m. and 11 p.m. on the day she was last seen. The recordings showed limited vehicle movement in the area and no visible signs of London leaving the residence. Simultaneously, law enforcement technicians analyzed her phone data. Records indicated the last activity occurred near the Inkster residence on the evening of April 5th. The phone was either turned off or disabled shortly after the final signal ping from that location. Ground searches were conducted within a 1-mile radius, focusing on wooded areas, vacant lots, and dumpsters. Drones and search dogs were utilized, but no physical evidence was located. Investigators continued to monitor lled's activities and movements, but no direct evidence emerged to link him to foul play. The absence of surveillance confirmation or phone activity hindered progress during the first 2 weeks. By mid-April, the investigation had reached a standstill. No verified sightings of London had been reported after her arrival at lled's home. Vehicle registration checks and license plate readers in the Inkster area revealed no travel records under London's name or her family's vehicles. Digital and phone data confirmed complete inactivity from her devices after April 5th. Her social media accounts showed no logins, messages, or uploads. Financial activity also ceased, with no bank or card transactions occurring after that date. Jalen maintained his initial claims during follow-up questioning, insisting that he had no knowledge of her whereabouts. However, detectives documented inconsistencies in his timelines, including conflicting references to what time London supposedly left and how long they had been together that evening. The lack of substantial leads led police to consider the possibility that London's disappearance may have involved concealment or movement of her body. Detectives began coordinating with multiple jurisdictions to broaden the investigation beyond Inkster. Throughout this period, London's family continued pressing for expanded efforts. Her mother contacted both Inkster and Detroit police departments daily, urging collaboration and increased visibility. The family distributed flyers across Wayne County and engaged local media to keep the case active in public view. The persistence of the family influenced law enforcement to review the case at a higher level. Additional investigative resources were assigned, including crime analysts and homicide detectives experienced in missing person conversions. The family provided access to London's social media accounts and phone records to support the investigation. They also clarified that London had no history of running away and no prior incidents suggesting voluntary disappearance. This information reinforced suspicions that foul play was involved. As the case gained complexity, coordination expanded between multiple agencies. Inkster police retained jurisdiction for the initial missing person report, but collaboration began with Detroit police due to London's residence being within Detroit city limits. When potential evidence later surfaced in another jurisdiction, Southfield police also joined the operation. The agencies established a joint information exchange to consolidate data, witness interviews, and forensic reports. This coordination allowed for tracking of vehicle registrations, digital signals, and any activity connected to the Pendergrass residence. This multi-jurisdictional approach became significant when, weeks later, a discovery in Southfield revealed the location of London's remains. On April 26, 2025, 21 days after London's disappearance, Southfield police received a call from a resident on Millard Street near Berg Road. The caller reported a strong odor coming from a parked SUV that had not moved for several days. The SUV was parked along a residential block in Southfield, a city approximately 15 miles from Inkster. The vehicle appeared unattended, with dark-tinted windows and no license plate obstruction. Upon arrival, responding officers noted that the SUV appeared locked but showed signs of prolonged inactivity. The odor was immediately noticeable from several feet away. Residents confirmed the vehicle had been parked there for multiple days, possibly since mid-April. Southfield officers obtained authorization to enter the vehicle after confirming it was not registered to anyone in the immediate area. Once inside, they observed a large, sealed plastic storage bin positioned in the rear cargo area. The bin was wrapped with multiple layers of plastic sheeting and secured with tape. Due to the strong odor and condition of the container, the Southfield Crime Scene Unit was called to process the scene. The bin was open on-site under controlled procedures. Inside were human remains later identified as those of a young female. The body had been wrapped and sealed, indicating an effort to prevent odor and detection. Signs of deliberate concealment were apparent, including multiple layers of wrapping material and cleaning residue. The state of decomposition indicated the victim had been deceased for approximately 3 weeks, aligning with the timeline of London's disappearance. The body was transported to the Oakland County Medical Examiner's office. Dental comparison and DNA analysis confirmed the remains belonged to London Thomas. The confirmation was relayed to the family and the lead investigative agencies that same evening. The autopsy established that the cause of death was asphyxia. The specific mechanism, whether manual or ligature strangulation, was not publicly disclosed. The death was classified as homicide. No gunshot or stabbing injuries were reported. The findings indicated that the death occurred at or near the time of her disappearance on April 5th. Toxicology testing showed no substances of significance. The examiner documented evidence of post-mortem concealment consistent with deliberate efforts to contain decomposition and transport the remains. Investigators documented and collected the following items: the plastic storage bin used to contain the body, layers of plastic sheeting and adhesive tape, Cleaning materials found inside the vehicle. Vehicle registration tracing ownership to Charla Pendergrass. Trace evidence including fibers and fingerprints. Forensic swabs taken from interior surfaces for DNA analysis. These findings connected the vehicle to the Pendergrass family and formed the foundation for the next phase of the investigation. The primary suspect was identified as 23-year-old lled Pendergrass, boyfriend of the victim and last known individual to have contact with her. Investigators revisited his earlier statements and compared them with evidence recovered from the vehicle. The registration of the SUV used in body disposal was traced to his mother, linking both directly to the crime. 49-year-old Charla Pendergrass was identified as a secondary suspect due to her vehicle being used to transport and store the body. Detectives interviewed acquaintances who revealed that Charla had asked a friend to help move a sealed plastic bin during the period when London was missing. The friend later stated that Charla described the bin as containing personal items and never disclosed its actual contents. This testimony became a central element in establishing her involvement in evidence concealment. Forensic testing confirmed that the fingerprints of both lled and Charla were present on the plastic wrapping and bin lid. The forensic unit also detected trace cleaning agents consistent with substances found inside their residence during a later search. These results, combined with witness accounts, indicated that both suspects handled the materials used to conceal and transport London's body. Through forensic and digital analysis, investigators reconstructed the sequence of events. April 5, 2025. London arrives at the Inkster residence. Shortly afterward, phone activity ceases. Evidence suggests that death occurred within hours of arrival. Body wrapped and placed in plastic storage bin. Vehicle movement data indicates the SUV left the residence the following night and traveled towards Southfield. Vehicle remained parked on Millard Street, where it was eventually discovered weeks later. This reconstruction aligned with autopsy findings and digital records, reinforcing the theory of deliberate concealment. Investigators reviewed phone and text logs between lled and Charla. Messages exchanged after April 5th included references to cleanup, removal, and handling it quietly. Metadata showed that both phones were in proximity during the night. The SUV traveled from Inkster to Southfield. Deleted text fragments recovered from lled's phone also indicated awareness of concealment process. Statements gathered from friends and acquaintances revealed further involvement. One associate reported that Charla had asked for help moving a large bin, claiming she needed assistance with storage. Another reported seeing cleaning supplies being carried out of house days after London's disappearance. Witnesses also described seeing the SUV being moved late at night during the period of the disappearance. Following confirmation of identification and forensic results, both suspects were arrested in late April 2025. Warrants were executed simultaneously at their residence by Inkster police, assisted by the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office and Southfield detectives. The operation was conducted under the authority of the Inkster Police Department. Coordination with Southfield Police ensured the vehicle and related evidence were preserved. Both lled and Charla Pendergrass were formally charged with second-degree murder for the unlawful killing of London Thomas, tampering with evidence for concealment and disposal of the body. The charges were announced publicly by the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office after confirmation of forensic evidence. Search warrants were issued for the Inkster residence. Items recovered included mobile phones belonging to both suspects, multiple cleaning supplies matching chemical residues found in the SUV, vehicle keys associated with the Southfield SUV, plastic storage materials consistent with the bin used in concealment, digital storage devices subjected to forensic analysis. Each item was cataloged and entered into evidence for trial preparation. Both suspects were taken into custody separately to prevent coordinated statements. During interrogation, lled maintained denial of involvement in the killing, but could not explain how the victim's body ended up in his mother's vehicle. His statements contradicted physical evidence and previous accounts. Charla initially denied knowledge of the concealment, but later admitted to helping move the bin. She claimed she did not know its contents, but could not explain why it was sealed or why she instructed a friend to move it discreetly. The inconsistencies between their statements were documented in full and added to the prosecution's file. After interrogation, both lled and Charla were booked into Wayne County Jail. They were denied bond based on severity of charges and risk of evidence interference. Case files were transferred to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office for trial preparation. The initial arraignment was scheduled for October 17, 2025. Both defendants entered pleas of not guilty. The case proceeded to pretrial hearings, with prosecutors emphasizing the coordination between mother and son in concealing the crime. On October 17, 2025, the legal process in the murder of 17-year-old London Thomas moved into a new phase. Both defendants, 23-year-old Jalen Pendergrass and his 49-year-old mother, Charla Pendergrass, appeared in court for arraignment before a Wayne County judge. Each faced formal charges of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence related to concealment of London's body, which had been found sealed in a plastic bin inside a parked SUV in Southfield, Michigan. The arraignment marked the first public presentation of the prosecution's case outline. Prosecutors restated the charges and detailed how the evidence linked both defendants to the crime. According to investigators, the concealment of the body was not an accidental act, but a calculated attempt to hide the evidence of London's death. The prosecution emphasized that Charla Pendergrass had played an active role after the killing, citing cooperation from a key witness who claimed that Charla requested assistance in moving a seal bin, allegedly unaware it contained the victim's remains. Both defendants entered not guilty pleas. Their legal representatives maintained that there had been a misunderstanding about the events following London's death and denied any direct involvement in the killing itself. Defense attorneys stated that the evidence collected so far failed to directly place either defendant at the scene at the time of death. They also argued that the communication and vehicle evidence required deeper examination before any conclusions could be drawn. The presiding judge reviewed the charges and the prosecution's evidence summary, which included forensic results, phone and message records, witness statements, and vehicle registration documents tied to the SUV where the victim's body was discovered. After hearing from both sides, the court denied bond for Jalen and Charla Pendergrass, citing the seriousness of the charges, the risk of flight, and the ongoing nature of the investigation. The judge then ordered that the case be transferred to pretrial division for continued evidence review and hearing scheduling. The prosecution confirmed that additional forensic testing and digital evidence extraction were underway, including DNA comparisons, cell phone data recovery, and analysis of surveillance footage near the Inkster residence where London was last seen. Witness testimony, including that of the individual who assisted with transporting the bin, is expected to be a central component of the prosecution's case. Investigators are also working to establish a clear timeline between London's arrival at the residence on April 5th and the eventual disposal of her body weeks later. The next court hearing has not yet been scheduled, pending the completion of forensic reports and digital data analysis. Prosecutors indicated that once the remaining evidence is processed, a formal pretrial hearing will be set to determine which materials will be presented to the jury. As of now, both defendants remain in custody at the Wayne County Jail, awaiting further court proceedings. If this story gripped your heart and left you questioning the truth, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with others who need to hear it. For more chilling true crime stories that dive deep into the mysteries behind these tragedies, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest updates, investigations, and thought-provoking discussions. Thank you for being part of this journey with us as we uncover the truth and seek justice. Together, we can make a difference. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next one.